Here we go. The topic is a buyer consultation. When we think about consultations with our clients, really think about like the seller consultation or the listing presentation where you're trying to quote unquote win the listing. So this is the other side of it, which is the buyer consultation. So the video from the locker room was a role play scenario, um, which was an in-office scenario where the potential buyers have come in to meet with the real estate agent in their office. So I'm curious with everyone, has have you done a buyer consultation in this manner in the past, or what is your method? Because whether you know it or not, you've been having buyer consultations. It's just where and how you do them. So I'm curious of buyer consultations meetings that you've done. Has it been in this manner before?
Mine have been more informal because most of my buyers I've known from some transaction before. So when was it, his name was Nathan, and the video was sitting
Yeah,
down with Edna and Brent,
yeah.
that seemed more formal to me. Like it was sound like he um, didn't like he was meeting maybe these people for the first time. So your style and your level of communication to somebody I think will be just a little bit different. It'll be more on a professional level because you're trying to prove your worth and impress upon them, how well you are going to work with them. And but so mine have been a little more informal, and I actually picked up on some tips that, I didn't really incorporate, with past buyers.
So I don't know if Cynthia's hiding behind you, but I really like her perspective too of how she's had buyer conversations in the past. So this role play scenario was um, very formal. It was in office at a conference room table, kind of. And I know from my experience, like Jamie's, I've done a few buyer consultations in office, but they're and those have been for people that I've never met, like online leads. But so same way, it's either a referral, somebody you know, you're either meeting them at a property or you meet for coffee. So Cynthia, I was just curious, kind of what your experience has been with buyer consultations or conversations.
Sure. Yeah. It's similar with me as well. I've done them in the office. I've done them with over coffee. Um, they more informal ones are typically are with people like Jamie said that I've known and worked with before, or for referrals to me. I've done very, very few with strangers. Most of the work that I've had has been by referral, which is really nice. It's got an extra level of trust you don't get otherwise.
Yes.
And I've done formal presentations as well as very informal. So it just varies depending on what I think the customer is looking for in terms of support from a real estate agent. So yeah, I mean, I come loaded with information. I have a couple of different buyer guides that I've made myself in the past or gotten from a favorite title company. Those are often very helpful. But if I'm going to go through one of those, I want to be sure that I present it from my perspective, so that they understand what role I'm playing and how I'm going to help them through the process. Because a lot of times those things are pretty dry and use language that most people aren't familiar with. So
Especially if it's documentation that comes from
right,
a title company, it's very, you can tell it's written by a title company, but to your point, a buyer is not necessarily going to know
Right.
that perspective.
Yeah, and a lot of that too is because I don't work with investors. I intentionally do not work with investors. So the people that I work with, it probably, if they've ever owned a home before, it's probably been one or two and not a lot. I do have one client that it's funny because she's a retired FBI agent and she claims she's a repeat offender because I've done six transactions with her. And it's just because she moves around. She's looking for the right place. So it's pretty funny.
It's a great client to have, for sure.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to go over just some of the things, and then Jamie, you had mentioned that in the video there were some things that you had picked up on it. So I do want you to share what those are. One of the things that Nathan in the video had talked about was very similar to a listing presentation, is not making the conversation all about the agent. Like, this is me, this is my track record, these are all the things that I've done, this is how wonderful I am. But really having it be a conversation with the buyers and understanding, one, their background, where are they from, where are they moving to, and of course, what are they looking for in a home? What size, how many square feet, bedrooms, how many bathrooms, single level, multiple level, doesn't matter, parts of town, things like that. Do they want a new home, or do they want a fixer-upper, kind of thing? But also understanding the buyer's goals. They're necessarily their real estate goals, but more of their, what I would call their life goals. So getting to know them, and what are their hobbies? Do they, their family size? Do they have children at home? How long are they expecting to live in them? Maybe they only want to live there for 5 years and, want to leave. Or is this going to be their forever home? So asking questions, not only about the home that they're looking to buy, but also kind of understanding what their goals are as a person, I guess, if you will. It's just kind of understanding who they are as individuals, what they value, what's important to them, not only in the home, but outside of that. So an example is, do they play golf? Is golf a big part of what they like to do? So would they want to live close to a golf course, in a golf course? So finding out things like that about them as individuals, what they like, and some of their dislikes too, because maybe they don't want to live close to a highway, right? So they don't want traffic, or they don't want to live in a community that is a master plan community where they can hear their neighbors speak, as an example. So just really kind of asking questions that would be beyond kind of the normal house hunting questions. Does that make sense? Does anybody have any questions on them? A couple of other things that Nathan had talked about was, and what Cynthia had mentioned, is having a packet or having some information. Title companies do have buyer packets, seller packets, but you can also put one together on your own that would have additional information about Arizona. Maybe it's a couple and they love to hike. So all of the hiking areas in the valley, which ones are popular, which ones are most, least popular, things like that. So things that were going to be interesting to them as individuals.
I
And of
haven't checked
course,
it out yet, but Arizona Family has a newcomers guide. So you go to azfamily.com. They actually have a thing put together for people who are new to Arizona that talks about monsoon and haboobs and all that kind of stuff too. So
and things
yeah,
like
that's nice to include in the
Yes.
packet.
We do, so that brings me to we have here in the office, if you do have clients that are relocating to Arizona, we have quite a few Arizona. They're the hard copy books guides that we can offer that you can give to your clients. There's Kate, do you remember all of those books that we have? There's a Phoenix guide, an Arizona guide, things to do.
Like, I think there's a trail one, like local trails. Yeah, there's a few different things.
So just let me know. They're in, Jamie, when you're in the office, you stare at the box all the time. So,
Do I? Okay. Didn't know what I
So
was.
pleased with those things. We have a lot.
yeah. So a question, another piece of things that Nathan was talking about in the video was to asking questions and sparking dialogue with the buyer clients. And one of the questions would be, have they spoken to the loan officer as of yet? And if they haven't, be sure to offer a recommendations of loan officers that you have worked with in the past and done that you love, your vendor partners. If they have spoken with a loan officer, maybe they've gone through some pre-qualification, be sure to get their contact information because you'll want to make sure that you reach out to them and get in contact with them and establish a relationship with them, not only for your grant buyer clients, but maybe this could be a loan officer that you want to add into your vendor partner list. If they're not, so loan officer, if they're intending on, or maybe they're an investor, right? And they have a 1031 exchange. So are they working with an exchange company? If they are, those companies. So same kind of thing. When you're having conversations with buyers, think about the Ford principle. So family, occupation, recreation, what's deep, dreams, what their dreams are. And questions around those areas will really help you understand one, what they're looking for in home, and then two, what their interests are, what they're looking for, and just really getting to know their clients and it just deepens the relationships with your clients because you really want to gain lifelong advocates, and it really is beneficial for building a relationship-based business. When you're having conversations with in the buyer consultation, have a pad of paper or a book. When you're asking questions, be sure to write the responses down don't leave it up to your memory to remember. But the other thing it does is it shows when you write, you're writing it down, you're showing an interest in your buyer clients, in interest in what they're looking for, what their interests are, just by the act of writing down answers to your questions. So it really shows to your clients that you care about what their dreams are. So the D. And it depends on how you want to do this. If you want to have some sort of paper or an insert in your consultation packets. It's really just kind of up to you how you to do this, but have a conversation with your buyer clients about you and how your business and how you run your business, how you communicate, and ask them the same question. How do they want to be communicated with? I'll give everybody a perfect example. Cynthia has a client right now that she's working with. Everything's on paper. Everything, her contracts are handwritten, wet signature. So that is her client's preference, she doesn't want to do anything electronic. I know this is a little bit of an extreme example, but Cynthia had to have a conversation. This is a listing phone, but Cynthia had to have a conversation with their client, say, how do you want to be communicated? Her response was, I want to sign every piece of paper. I don't want to do anything electronic. But having that knowing what those expectations are. And in today's day, most people, it's either phone calls, text messages, emails. What's their work schedule? When can they go and see homes? Is it just the weekends that they would be available to see homes? Or are they available during the day, Monday to Friday? Just understanding some of those particulars. But also sharing with your buyer clients about marketing strategies. How do you negotiate on their behalf? Things like that nature. And also helping them understand the purchase process, the home buying process. Is this the first home that they've ever bought, or is this the 10th they've ever bought? And then, really helping them understand what the process is and how you are an advocate for them to guide them along the process. And of course, the buyer broker. No one forget about that. I think we covered just about everything that was in the video. For those of you that had watched it, Jamie, you said you had some interesting perspectives that Nathan had brought up. Would you like to share what those are?
Yeah, sure. One of the things that I don't normally do that I guess he does, but again, that could be part of the formal versus informal, as he said that the agent should include a biography of themselves. And, so I guess maybe from a getting to know you perspective, as long as it doesn't turn into like, look what I've done, I'm like the top 10 agent of the Phoenix metro area. Like, I don't want to present that to somebody, but like maybe I could say I'm from the Midwest. I like to swim, or, grew up around water, maybe water skied, I guess those kind of things maybe can help ease the conversation between you and that potential client. So I thought that was interesting.
And it's something that I would recommend um, is a little bit of professional and a little bit of personal, but also to include in the conversation, how do you look? How do you run your business? What, what your vision is and what your mission is for your real estate business. Where for most of us here on the Zoom call, it's really about deep relationships, communication, establishing a relationship with your clients, and utmost client care. Is really kind of where we all fall into, is expressing to your buyer clients that that's how you run your business, and that they understand that, and that they're much more than a check or a transaction, and just expressing that in a way that is, best for you, that you will, have the buyer client understand that's how you run business.
I had an opportunity to work that into one of my buyer consultations. And I worked it in with the communication piece, like how does she want to communicate? And then I also let her know at that time that I am a dual career agent and this is what my work schedule is like. But, I work in public health now and I want to transition into real estate because I am a public servant and I want to support you. And so that seemed to really, she appreciated that, especially knowing that I wasn't doing real estate full time. So she kind of understood how I work and what my days looked like. So that was helpful.
I think that's brilliant, using the public servant perspective. It shows that, you care about people.
Yeah.
And you're kind of getting that across, through, your other employment.
Yeah. I mean, it's really, I didn't realize it until I started doing real estate and I was like, oh, this is the same thing. So I lucked out. Got a lot of training.
Selling a different product.
Yeah.
I have a tagline: close of escrow is just the beginning of our relationship.
Love it, Cynthia. I love it. You get the gold star of the day.
Can we get some t-shirts made or some swag, please?
There you go.
We need some swag for closing day. Like, when they get the keys and we take the pics, they can wear those t-shirts. T-shirts and visors and keychains, everything.
Down.
Write that down, Dawn. That is great. I love that, Cindy.
That is great. I love it. That is awesome.
Well, it kind of says it all, so you don't have to explain it.
It really does.
And to that point, Cynthia, I think it really, not just in our industry, but in other industries as well, it just seems the client care and the service level.
Look, I'm taking this, so you need to take. Okay, I'm more.
Has really just kind of dropped
baby.
down.
Yeah.
Can you set the table?
I can set the table. Right, that would be great. But I think that, if we all stick true to our convictions, we will rise above all of it. I firmly believe it. and karma is a thing. So um, I had a great conversation with Jamie today about
This.
him helping
Okay, go inside.
um, in a situation that is not necessarily desirable at all, but he went above and beyond today to help his clients find another property, be of service to them. So Jamie, just kudos to you. Um, that's really just how we run and operate our businesses, and that's how the business lasts, is giving amazing client care, and referrals will come to you, and you will have a long-term sustainable business for as long as you want. So yeah, that was a proud moment today, Jamie. I really appreciated that conversation. That was
I'm not surprised. That sounds just like Jamie. Not surprised at all.
Guys, does anybody have, Jamie, did you have any other perspective or from the videos that you wanted to share, or does anybody else have any?
I'm just looking through my notes here. I think it was in the buyer needs analysis, something that I had never thought about before. Will you have others spending a measurable amount of time in the home? And I thought that was interesting. Never really thought about that, because like if a person comes to me and they say they just want a 1 or 2 bedroom, I never thought about asking that question to help them decide, well, if they have a lot of guests, a 1 bedroom is not going to cut it, even if they can afford it. And maybe they should, instead of thinking about paying cash for the whole thing, maybe consider a small loan. If you're going to be having lots of guests over, you're going to be entertaining in the property quite a bit, it could totally be worth it. And, there are some, opportunities that could result from, obtaining a loan, even though it may not be, maybe in their financial, what's the word I'm looking for? Not their motivation to do so, I guess. But, there could be a discovery there, a discovery of opportunity. So I never really thought about asking that question, because sometimes people might say, things that you thought maybe I shouldn't have asked that because I didn't want to know that answer, but yeah, I mean, it may help us to maybe help them purchase a home with maybe 3 bedrooms, because maybe parents will be coming yearly or something, so.
Even in instances of a first-time home buyer, they don't necessarily know what they need or what they want. Maybe they think that they want a 2,500 square foot home with a large pool and grass in the front yard. Okay, so are you planning on cleaning the house? Are you planning on taking care of the pool? Are you planning on mowing the lawn? Those are all extreme examples, but and that's where those questions and creative questions come up. That's thinking outside of the box, if you will, versus, how many bedrooms, how many bathrooms, how many square feet, things like that, is asking more lifestyle questions and getting to know. Yeah, absolutely.
And those were really the only 2 that really popped out at me that I put little asterisks by. But yeah, but overall, to me, it was a very informative video.
But you enjoyed it. in realizing that, the video, like I said earlier, it was very formal. It was in an office at a conference table, realizing that in the day-to-day and reality of a buyer business is that you're not necessarily going to be sitting at a conference table. You're going to be having coffee. You're going to be meeting at property. I do recommend from a safety standpoint that if it's an online lead and you've never met them, meet them in a public place,
Yeah.
bring them in the office. Let's, be safe.
Invite a friend.
Invite a
Don't do
friend.
deals, don't do deals behind dirty nightclubs or something.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. So yes, just be smart, be safe. Does anybody have any other questions or comments on a buyer consultation topic?
It was awesome to see everybody. It's been a while.
It has. It's been, gosh, since last year.